RebeccaFredericksTV is an exciting new brand run by women for women, which believes that we need to take control of our lives and redefine what success means for the 21st century woman. The brand empowers women like you with the self-confidence to go out there and create the success and therefore the lives that they want. Covering self, work, relationships, fitness, and nutrition. We provide all the tools, tips, strategies, and support you need to create a life you love.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Fredericks and welcome to RebeccaFredericksTV, the place to be for your personal and professional success. Today we're going to be talking about our ideal selves and we'll look at my strategy for helping us to get closer to becoming her. Now, my ideal self is just great. I love her. She is me, only so much better. I'm not talking completely pie in the sky though, where I born a completely different person and a completely different body me. I'm talking about the me I could be where I'm really patient, more accomplished, a better wife and daughter and friend and sister. Me on a really good day where I'm just a little bit better. And I'm sure you have this amazing version of you in mind too. I'm going to call this Wonder Woman, this you on steroids, your ideal self. Your ideal self basically reflects the things that you like most about yourself and the things that you would most admire about others. Now, for some of us, this idea of ideal self is really strong. We know everything about her. And for others, you'll only now start to realize that you have an ideal self and that actually she is rather fabulous. Now, the most successful people in the world have a very clear ideal self. They have very clear values and strong ideas about who they want to become, and they live by these values and do everything they can to not compromise them. When you do something that supports your ideal self, you feel amazing. You feel like you are moving towards your goals and fulfilling your potential and becoming the person that you dream of becoming. But only by having a clearly defined ideal self can you start to realize that you are making progress and getting closer to your goals. Now, the closer your ideal self is to your current self-image, so the person that you currently see yourself to be, the higher your self-esteem will be. So if you're constantly thinking you're not good enough, or you could have done better, or you're not very good at anything, you'll have a low self-esteem because your current self-image and your ideal self are a million miles away from each other. Because your ideal self always does well and she's always good enough. And if your ideal self and your self-image are similar, then you'll be feeling great about yourself and your self-esteem will be high. When you start to make decisions as if you were already this ideal self, you actually start to become her. You'll be changing your beliefs about who you are and what is possible. You'll be changing your mindset and your state, and you'll be changing your behaviors. You'll be acting as if you were already her, and in turn, you will actually be becoming her. Let's take an example. Let's say your ideal self is 10 pounds lighter. So when faced with a very tricky decision as to whether to have that second piece of cake, if you were acting as if you were already your ideal self, you would say no. And you'd say no because you think that someone 10 pounds lighter never has 2 slices of cake. That ideal you that's 10 pounds lighter would have more restraint and a greater willpower in order to have achieved that weight. Now, I only consciously realized that I had an ideal self a few years ago, and she was everything that I wished I could be all the time. A consistent me on my very best day. I created the strategy that I'm going to tell you about in a minute and the exercise that I'm going to share with you at the end of the episode. And I try and repeat this exercise every couple of months or so that I can see whether I'm making any progress, whether my ideal self and my current self-image are getting any closer together, and if not, what I need to do to make sure that that happens. So let's look at this strategy for getting closer to your ideal self now. I call this my Create Your Ideal Self strategy. 1. Recognize that you have an ideal self. 2. Create an avatar of this ideal self so that you can get to know as much about her as possible. 3. Create an avatar of your current self-image. So this represents how you see yourself today. 4. Compare the two avatars to each other. 5. Decide what you need to do to go from your current self-image to your ideal self. 6. Start making decisions as if you were already your ideal self. 7. Take action on these decisions so that you are constantly moving closer to your ideal self. So today's exercise is just to work through this strategy I've outlined. And once you recognize that you have an ideal self, I want you to really flesh her out. So depending on what works best for you, you could use words to describe her, or you could get some magazines and rip them up and create some kind of pictorial avatar. Remember to give as much information as possible, and then do exactly the same for who you are now, so your current self-image. And having done this, compare the two avatars. How different are they? And what can you do to become more like your ideal self? Are there books that you can buy? Are there courses that you can go on? Is there any help that you can get? Whatever you think that you can do to upskill or get closer to that version of you, make sure that you do it. Make a decision to take action today. And then repeat this exercise every few months to assess the progress that you're making. Okay, great. This is a really important step in working towards becoming the you that you want to become. If you want to go deeper into this process, go over to the product section on RebeccaFredericksTV and have a look at my 3-hour video training called the Self-Confidence System, where we go into this with great detail. And if you have a way that you identify your ideal self and work towards making her real, share your strategies with us. We would love to hear from you. Now, if you've liked this episode, then please like it below and like it on Facebook and share it with your friends. Here's your Thursday tip tweetable. Your ideal self is the you that you will commit to becoming today. As always, remember that you are in control of your own life. If you want something to happen, you have to go out there and make the changes. That's not to say that others can't support you and help you. That's why I'm here, and that is what your friends and family are for. You have all the power that you will ever need inside of yourself. So use it and create a life and a future that you love. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and thank you for watching my Thursday tip. I'll see you next week.